Welcome to This Explainer. We're diving straight into a mind-bending cosmological concept today that scales all the way from the vastness of the universe right down to the words you speak every single day. We're looking at a totally unique worldview that reframes our place in the cosmos, blending some very ancient spiritual ideas with the super modern concept of network connectivity.
So, think about this for a second. We all know the World Wide Web connects our globe, right? We spend half our lives logged into it, seamlessly pinging data across continents. But what kind of network connects the entire universe? The source text we're examining today, drawn from a lecture on Daesoonjin Riho cosmology, posits that a much grander, invisible infrastructure exists out there. The source material introduces this incredibly cool idea called the Universe Wide Web. It actually comes from the deeper meaning of the word Daesoon, which basically translates to a grand universal circulation. It proposes a network that operates a lot like our internet, just on a massive cosmic scale. Instead of only connecting laptops and smartphones, this universe-wide web connects humans, spirits, heaven, and earth into one seamlessly interacting system. Just imagine a network where every thought, word, and action you take instantly pings across the cosmos.
To figure out how you can actually log into this massive network, here's our quick agenda for today. 1. The cosmic network. 2. Spirits versus humans. 3. Truth meets emotion. 4. The end of reincarnation. And finally, 5. The power of words. Let's get right into it.
Kicking things off with Section 1, the cosmic network, from local to universal. Look at how this progression works. We went from localized lands in the 70s, just connecting single buildings, to wide area networks, and then the global World Wide Web in the 90s. The source text makes this wild argument that human technological progress is actually just mirroring the underlying structure of the spiritual realm. Literally, the internet is just a physical manifestation of a spiritual reality. And the ultimate endgame here? The Universe Wide Web, a fully networked, universally accessible cosmos. Moving on to Section 2, Spirits versus Humans. Let's look at the fundamental difference between the two. There is a really stark contrast here. According to this worldview, spirits, or Shin, are brilliant, but they're incredibly rigid. Think of them like solid iron. They represent absolute truth and reason, highly specialized in one domain, kind of like strict Western rationality. Humans, though, we're totally different. We possess emotion, empathy, what's called jung. We're flexible, we're adaptable, and most importantly, we have the heat needed to actually melt and reshape that rigid iron. It's all about that Eastern relational harmony. But here's the catch with spirits. Because they are hyper-specialized, they suffer from a severe limitation known as bi-jeep. Basically, this means being absolutely blocked or completely unaware of anything outside their specific domain. The lecture in our source text uses this perfect analogy. Imagine an engineering professor who is an absolute genius in semiconductors but knows literally nothing about power systems or sociology. Ask them a question outside their field and they draw a complete blank. Spirits are exactly like that. They're supreme in their own lanes, but they can't cross over to understand others. And you know what that causes? Massive cosmic friction.
Which brings us to Section 3, Truth meets emotion. Specifically, the concept of Shin and Joa.
So what's the ultimate fix for all this cosmic friction? It's Shin and Joa. This essentially means the harmonious synthesis of a spirit and a human. The whole idea is that the universe fundamentally needs human emotional empathy to fuse together those rigid, isolated truths of the spirits. On their own, spirits are just these disconnected fragments of truth. But humans, we bring the warmth of Jong, that empathy and love, which acts as the cosmic glue holding the whole thing together.
Here's how this cosmic harmony actually plays out in practice. First, you have these rigid spirits colliding everywhere because of their super narrow specializations. It's a universe packed with immense capability, but zero empathy. Then, step 2, human emotion, our junk, is introduced as this melting heat. It softens up the hard edges of absolute uncompromising truth. And finally, truth and emotion fuse together. This resolves all those cosmic grievances and gets the universe-wide web running perfectly. It's an incredible partnership where humans aren't just living inside the universe, we're actually active, vital managers of it.
That takes us right into Section 4, the end of reincarnation. Welcome to the Injan era.
So, if humans and spirits are finally teaming up in harmony, what happens to the human soul? Well, the source text pulls this really heavy quote from the Agama Sutra, where the Buddha says, "If you gathered the bones from all your past lives, they would form a mountain larger than any on earth." I mean, just think about the sheer exhaustion of that cycle, constantly forming attachments to parents, kids, partners, only to lose them over and over through countless lifetimes. This cosmology recognizes that endless reincarnation is just a grueling, painful process that really shouldn't go on forever.
The whole point here is to actually put an end to that painful cycle of reincarnation. You don't want to just keep spinning on the wheel forever. The ultimate goal is to achieve Do Tong, which is a state of true human completion. Once a human hits this level, shedding their flawed traits and totally perfecting their empathy, they don't need to reincarnate anymore. They transition into a permanent state of existence, basically working as an equal cosmic partner alongside the spirits to manage the universe.
Because human empathy is the absolute missing ingredient for universal peace, the source states we're actually living in the engine era right now. And guys, this is a massive paradigm shift. Historically, humanity worshipped spirits and gods in an era of spirit elevation. But today, because the universe desperately needs our emotional heat just to survive, human character is prioritized. It's elevated above spiritual entities. We are literally center stage in maintaining cosmic harmony.
And finally, Section 5, the power of words. Let's talk about Aeon Duck and Heiwen Sang Seng.
This is where we bring it from the grand cosmic scale right down to your everyday life. How do you actually log into this universe-wide network? You don't need a computer, a password, or some fancy degree. The source text gives us 3 incredibly profound login keys. First, do not discriminate against anyone. Second, practice Heiwen Sang Seng, which means actively living your life to make others successful. And third, practice Aeon Duck, which translates to the virtue of words. You have to actively choose to use virtuous, uplifting, and kind speech every single day.
And the explainer details exactly why that last one is absolutely crucial. Because the universe is a fully connected, universe-wide web, your words carry literal cosmic weight. If you snap at someone or use harsh, insulting words, it's not just a localized argument. The network transmits it instantly. The text actually warns that the other person's ancestral spirits hear that insult immediately and they get furious. It triggers a literal, invisible, heavenly fight in the spiritual realm. One unkind word causes absolute chaos among the spirits. So, virtuous speech, Aeon Duck, isn't just a polite suggestion, it's an absolute structural mandate that literally holds the universe together.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought. We've seen how Daesun Jinriho cosmology scales the internet up to the entire universe, a place where the rigid truths of spirits are completely dependent on the warm empathy of humans. Knowing that your empathy, your active desire for others to succeed, and specifically the words coming out of your mouth are the actual forces holding the cosmos together, how will you choose to speak today? Thanks for hanging out with us, and keep questioning the universe around you.